Hello there, Brick Fanatics. The LEGO Group has unveiled two brand new LEGO sets today, which I suspect the company is hoping will sell to two very different demographics. But looking at these two sets, I feel like there might be a little bit more overlap than one might expect. On the one hand, we've got the latest LEGO Ideas set going out to an 18+ audience, Lovebirds, containing 750 pieces and costing £44.99 in the UK, $49.99 in the US, and €49.99 in the EU. It is a relatively small set, it is a relatively cheap set, and it is a set that is aimed at adults in particular. On the other hand, we've got the latest Ninjago set, the Old Town 15th Anniversary, which contains a whopping 4,851 elements and costs £269.99 in the UK, $299.99 in the US, and €299.99 in parts of the EU. So one very, very big and expensive set, nearly 5,000 elements, and one relatively small set, less than 1,000 elements. And before we talk about the sets themselves, I'd like to focus just for a second on the models that the LEGO Group is using in their lifestyle images to show off these sets, because I feel like you can get a really good sense of what kind of person the LEGO Group is trying to appeal to when you look at the kinds of person that they will photograph with a LEGO set. On the one hand, we've got the Lovebirds, and as you might expect, we've got a couple here building together. Not just any couple though, this feels like the oldest possible couple that the LEGO Group could find while still having two people who look really, really cool. Look at this, we've got a guy with a man bun and an earring, we've got a woman who's covered in tattoos, both of them have got wrinkles and they've got greying hair, but they're still objectively quite hot. And I think that's what the LEGO Group hopes that you think you look like. Yeah, I'm getting on in years a bit, I'm not as young as I used to be, but I'm still pretty darn cool, and I can build some LEGO with my significant other. So the logic here is that this is a display piece for couples who have been together for quite a long time and want a LEGO-y reflection of their love and their relationship. That's who this LEGO set is ostensibly for, and sure, a lot of people who buy this set are probably going to be in that camp. It's going to be one that you can give to somebody for an anniversary or for a Valentine's present, that kind of thing. But also, I expect that this one's going to do quite well with a younger single audience as well. We've seen this with the botanical theme, as I've mentioned in a previous video, where these lovely floral displays, yes, are intended for adults, but a lot of younger LEGO fans are really excited by them as well. In particular, younger girls. And of course, the LEGO Group would never dream of saying that a LEGO set is for a specific gender, but I have heard people within the LEGO Group just informally refer to the botanical theme and to the Creator 3-in-1 sets that are all animal based as being sets that are at least unofficially kind of aimed towards a more female demographic, because that's the kinds of people that are interested in those builds. And you can absolutely see how this one would appeal to that kind of demographic as well. The girls who are buying the creator animals, the girls who are buying the botanical sets, and will now want this one, which is kind of a combination of both of those ideas, because you've got that floral stuff and then you've also got a brick-built animal. I'm not saying that boys can't enjoy this set as well, I'm just saying that I have heard quite senior people within the LEGO Group describe the botanical theme and the Creator 3-in-1 sets as being more kind of skewed towards girls. Now contrast that with the model that is used for the Old Town Ninjago set, which this came as absolutely no surprise to me. When I was about to open up these images, I thought, it's going to be Dustin from Stranger Things, isn't it? And it's Dustin from Stranger Things. Here he is building a Ninjago set. That is absolutely the key audience for this set. The LEGO Group wants to sell it to teenage boys in particular. This set has a 14+ age rating. As we all know, a 14+ age rating is purely marketing, because most LEGO sets that are 18+ could be significantly lower, but the LEGO Group wants to specifically market them to adults, because adults feel weird about buying a set that is 14+, and because kids are excited to buy a build that is for an age that is older than them. So there's really no downside to setting a set at 18+. Indeed, a lot of 18+ sets can be quite simple and not necessarily all that challenging to put together. This one doesn't look like it falls into this camp. This one feels like it is going to be quite an intricate build to put together, because it is absolutely massive, and based on my experience of a 14+ Ninjago set in the past, I definitely feel like they trust their audience to know what they're doing here. Now, as Jack pointed out in a previous video on this channel about Ninjago, the kids who were playing with Ninjago when it first released are now adults themselves. For example, because we're hitting that 15-year anniversary, it means that if you were 10 years old when Ninjago first released, you are now 25 years old. Oh dear. So while this set is aimed at a 14+ audience, it is absolutely going to be picked up by a lot of grown adults as well, especially people who have nostalgic fondness for the theme as it used to be back in the olden days of like 2011. What's more, yeah, it's a set that's aimed at teenagers, but I can tell you that as a teenager, I was definitely not going to be able to afford this LEGO set. It is very, very expensive, and it assumes that you have a lot more disposable income than I had when I was 14. We have here then a LEGO set which is marketed to children, albeit older children, but it is definitely going to be purchased by adults as well. So there are two LEGO sets here, where the LEGO Group has a very specific demographic in mind for the set, but we all know that that demographic is only a small piece of the pie compared to the many, many people in the wider LEGO fandom who are going to want these sets. To be clear, I think of this as a feature rather than a bug. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, it is one of the cool things about LEGO that you can dip into various different themes and try something out that might not necessarily be aimed at you in particular, but you can still have an absolutely brilliant time building it and putting it on display or playing with it. But looking at these two sets, I'm reminded of two stories from the LEGO Group's history wherein the company maybe had the wrong end of the stick about how people actually wanted to interact with their products. I'm reminded first off of a story from when they were first developing the LEGO Friends theme. And this was around about the same time that they were starting on Ninjago as well. And they had a bunch of kids come in and they watched the kids to try and figure out how boys and girls played differently. And what they came up with was the boys are ignoring the buildings, they just want play features, they don't care about having these dollhouse style sets, but the girls love the dollhouse sets. They're getting in there and they're playing in the spaces. And that informed the way that the Friends sets were designed initially, and I can imagine some of that crossed over into Ninjago as well. I mean, do take all of this with a pinch of salt, but if you look at that first wave of initial Ninjago sets all the way back in 2011, there are quite a few buildings in there, and those drop off quite quickly once the theme starts finding its feet, and instead there's a much heavier emphasis on mechs and on vehicles and on brick built various different monsters and dragons, and there's fewer and fewer buildings. They're still there, but they're very much on the periphery. You get one every now and then rather than a theme that is mostly buildings. The most prominent buildings always being those Ninjago city sets, which are big and detailed and aimed at that older audience. And as that audience is maturing, I feel like the need for those kinds of really detailed buildings is growing. More and more people are interested in those kinds of sets, and the LEGO designers are responding in kind, and we've got things like this Old Town set. And now it's clear that the LEGO Group has got the message, no, it's not just girls who like to have cool buildings. The other story related to that was told to us by Daniel Konstanski, who has written The Secret Life of LEGO Bricks. The story of how at one point the LEGO Group were absolutely blown away because this random creator set was just selling huge numbers for no particular reason that they could discern. And then it turned out it was mostly being bought by adults. And the adults said to the LEGO Group, you don't make houses anymore, and this set is a house set. So of course we're buying it because we want to be able to set up our own little mini land. We want to have our little row of houses the way that we used to when we were kids. We want to have buildings, and that informed the LEGO Group's decision to then go and try and make modular buildings for the first time. And now if you look at the LEGO catalogue, there are loads of buildings across various different themes. And I find those two stories fascinating because it really shows how sometimes you can miss the wood for the trees when you're aiming at a particular demographic. The LEGO Group's bizarre decision that boys don't like to play with buildings is just weird. And so while I'm absolutely sure that the LEGO Group is aware that the Ninjago set is going to appeal to adults as well as teenagers, and that the Lovebird set is going to appeal to single younger fans as well as more mature fans that are in a stable relationship, I'm also interested to see what comes out of these sets once they're in the hands of the public. Once people start playing with them, reworking them, building on them, exploring them, expanding them, doing different things with them, because the whole point of LEGO and why this is such an exciting toy for a lot of us to play with is the fact that we are able to put our own creativity into it, as well as just taking whatever we are given. Who knows, maybe one of these LEGO sets will lead to the next big thing for a particular theme and an entire new avenue of LEGO sets that none of us have even considered before. But we won't know that until they're actually in the hands of the people who are going to define them, which is the consumers, the customers, the LEGO fans, rather than whoever the LEGO Group is expecting to buy them. I feel like this video ended up being a lot more speculative than I had initially planned. What do you think of all of this? Let us know in the comments down below, and do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe and the notification bell. You know the drill by now. If you're going to be making any LEGO.com purchases in the near future, make sure that you use the affiliate link in the description or the QR code that is currently on screen. They take you straight to the LEGO website and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Doesn't cost you a penny extra, but it helps to keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things LEGO, and you can sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.